This is the real Tom Rose, and this is a pretty gnarly functions question. We have multiple functions, we've got nested functions, and they're actually asking you to solve for a function itself, which is pretty unusual. So the first thing to remember with these questions when they have defined functions is not to panic. No one else has seen these functions before either. They're totally made up. They're on the test for the first time. So don't panic. And each one of these functions is simply an instruction manual. And if you follow that instruction manual, you'll be able to generate the answer. So first, let's talk about how functions work. So functions all have an input and an output. The input is defined as the thing inside the parentheses. This is standard notation, right? This is not an algebraic expression. It's a symbol which says I'm defining a function called f, and the input is the thing in the parentheses. Okay, now the output is whatever comes out on the other side. So for example, if they asked for f of 2, we would plug in 2 for x here, 2 for x there. You'd solve it and you would get, what, 6 plus 2 is 8. They haven't asked us for that though, so we're not going to do that. What they have told us is that when we take g is a mystery function, we take g of f of x. So if f of x, the whole function, is actually the input for g, what comes out the other side, the output is just the number x. So I'm going to actually plug that in. So let's take f of x, plug it into g of x, and you'll get g. So g of f of x equals g of 3x plus 2. That should equal, because we're told right here, it should equal x. So this is a piece of information that they're giving us. We know when the input of when the input of g is 3x plus 2, the output needs to be x. At this point, it's difficult to figure out how to generate the function g, which produces that transformation. If you're clever, you could probably just figure it out. But suppose you're under stress and you're not sure how to do that. Another option to you is you can try the answer choices. Each answer choice is a proposed function for g, right? It's a proposal for what goes after that. So suppose, I'm actually going to start with this middle one. Suppose that g of x, because it's the simplest, equals 3x. I'll put a question mark because we're not sure. What we can test out is, let's take the input, 3x plus 2. We'll plug it in for these x's. So we'll get g of 3x plus 2. That equals 3 times 3x plus 2, right? I'm just taking the function I was given and taking the input and plugging it in for x. And what you end up with is 9x plus 6. So how do we handle this? What does that mean? So g of 3x plus 2 equals 9x plus 6. What that means is that this function that we picked for g is not right. If it were g, what we would have over here would be x, because that's what they told us g is equal to. So we don't have that, so we know this is not the answer. So we need to repeat this process, trying out all of the options until we find one that works. And if you do that with this, let's start out here over here on the left. Suppose that, now I'm not sure which one to pick, so let's just pick that one. It's the first one. Suppose g is that. Suppose g of x equals x minus 2 over 3. I'll put a question mark because we're not sure. Now let's plug in for x what we've been given. So we want 3x plus 2. So g of 3x plus 2 equals 3x plus 2 minus 2 over 3. So you get 3x plus 2 minus 2 is 3x over 3 equals x. And hey, bingo. That is what we were hunting for. So when g of x is this function, which is this answer choice, the first one, and you plug in the thing that they gave you to plug in, the output is x, which is what they told you it should be. So that consistency is how you know that this is the function g of x. So that was super confusing. Watch the video as many times as you need to. When you become comfortable with this, you will be prepared to answer any function question ever. That's the most confusing one I've ever seen.